they're into movies, toys and TV shows, comics, collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks. They're just regular Joes. Welcome to the Regular Joes podcast with your hosts Dave Pisani, Barry Kay, and Todd Pleasant.
Welcome to the Regular Joes podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
I'm Todd Pleasant.
And I'm Brian Mix.
What's going on, everybody? Brian's here.
Hey, again.
Okay, so this is the second try. I screwed up the first one. I admit it. Let's move on, okay?
We can move on. Okay, so
We're happy to have you here, Brian.
For the final time this year, probably, we're going to talk about Mandalorian and Picard. They both had their season 3 finales.
And Picard was the series finale.
And series finale. So, we've been talking about them a lot, but we'll wrap those guys up because we talk about what we want to talk about. If you're sick of it, I can't help you. Hopefully you're not, because
I don't think anybody listening to this is sick of it, because why would they be listening otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. And then we may have some other stuff. Just before we jump to random, but we were just sort of texting. We're always sort of saying, here's the new stuff we're starting to watch. But we all independently, without even talking about it, watched Diplomat. Or Todd, you hadn't watched it, had you?
I was trying to decide on what to watch, and you guys started saying it was good, and so I jumped in.
Yeah, because Pam and I started watching it, and then independently Barry did, and he texted. It is good, and it's smart.
Well, what's funny was Maria was watching it without me, and I happened to be in the room, and I'm like, oh, what's this? This is really good writing. What is this? And she's like, oh, I'm in the 4th episode. I'm like, well, you're starting it over from the beginning. So she started it over with me, and she watched it.
Did you really? Why don't you just catch up on your own?
Well, I would have, but she said I liked it enough that I'll rewatch it from the beginning. So we went.
I will say, I'm only 2 in. This is really good. And this is
3.
I'm very, very critical of stuff where they just stop and explain everything to you and are like, oh, well, you remember this is Bob who we met last week. And
if you're dumb,
you're not paying attention.
Don't watch this.
If you're not paying attention, you can't keep up with this.
This is not even like an easy subject.
No,
it's complicated stuff, and they're not waiting for you.
It feels very much like a Sorkin drama, he's not involved.
There's also an element
without the pretentiousness. I feel
a little homelandishness to it. There's like all these people are being thrown at you, and you got to kind of sort out who they are.
And there's comedy, and it's good.
It's funny as hell. I'm actually up to episode 6 already.
Oh, really?
Great.
I'm only up to 3. I think.
I'm on 2. The cast is great. There's some characters in there who are very, very unique. And you got a husband who's both a help to her, but also
and a hindrance.
But the guy is being who the guy is. It's like, and it's like I said, I like it. It's also, I was saying to you guys, it's weird. It's Rufus Sewell, who was in The Man in the High Castle, and most recently, Kaleidoscope. I don't think I've ever seen him be a good guy before. So I'm always
he's definitely a guy. I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I recognize him, but I couldn't.
But I don't know who he is.
Every time I see him, I think, well, you guys watch Kaleidoscope.
We don't. Do we?
Didn't you watch Kaleidoscope?
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the ones
totally.
Watch Kaleidoscope.
Totally. Was that what it was called?
Yes,
we
I watched it. Yeah.
The thing where each episode had a different color.
Oh,
that's
right.
Okay.
What did he play in that?
About it. Yeah.
He was the head of the security firm.
Oh, yeah. Boy.
He was the main bad guy. So in every episode. So anyways, but he's always been a bad guy in the things I've seen him in. So I'm just built in suspicious of his motives on everything. And but it's like I said, it's really good. Kerry Russell is phenomenal as always. And I think it's
I need her to wash her hair, but other than that, it's good.
This doesn't give anything away, and I don't know if it was in the 2nd or 3rd episode, so you might have already seen it, Todd. But there's a scene where she and her husband have a brawl.
It's the 3rd episode.
It's one of the funniest freaking things I've seen.
Funny as hell. It's the I just saw it last night. Anyway,
in the last year, I have gotten to meet and hang out with 2 different U.S. ambassadors, and she is really what a diplomatic ambassador is like. And the other individual I met was a really great guy. is exactly like they talk about the predecessor of, her
there's
being
a lot of that.
the president's golf buddy. There's the two types of U.S. ambassadors you have. One is the president's golf buddy, and the other is somebody that actually gets in there and like has done everything and knows everything. And this is really, it seems very well researched, and it's cool. It's cool.
Yep, definitely recommend it.
Yeah,
and it is not genre, but it's good.
Yeah, it's not genre.
It's
I'm
a
also
show that has very little action in it. Okay, at least I didn't see the brawl yet, but like I said, that's
not action.
You're
it's just funny.
What format?
Totally sucked into it, engaged.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's called The Diplomat.
Check it out. I'm also watching The Last Thing He Told Me with our pal Jennifer Garner. If Jennifer Garner wasn't in it, I'd bail, but it's okay. It's going somewhere. I don't know where, but it's okay.
The last episode you talked about The Night Agent, and I actually finished that. I watched
Night Agent was really. I really enjoyed The Night Agent.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Barry, can I ask you a question? Is there a mic drop at the end of every episode of The Diplomat? Because the first
it feels
two I've seen,
it.
Okay,
pretty much.
The first two I've seen, they've just got to, at that last second, be like, "Oh, by the way, boom."
Yeah, they
That's a new thing. The last thing is doing that too. It's like
it's cool though. If that's their thing, it's cool. It keeps the story going.
And watch Ghosted on Apple if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Chris Evans, Anna de Armas, and at one point I'm like, they're talking to each other, and I'm like, boy, those are two good-looking people. I don't care. I'll take either one of them. I don't care.
I was going to say either one of them works anyway.
Not choosy.
Were they both in something else?
They were both in several things. They were in Knives Out.
The Knives Out, Gray Man.
The Gray Man. They've been in. This is the third thing they've done together.
Yep.
And Pam's like, I don't know who is she. I'm like, who is she? Knives Out, Gray Man, James Bond, Blade Runner 2049. She knows there's a little issue. Anyway,
did you tell Pam her home address and like?
Yeah.
No, I'm keeping that until I verify it in person.
And she has a restraining order against me.
Where's she from? Oh, Cuba. What else do you need to know?
Yeah, look, here's her autograph on the restraining order.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that wasn't random. That was TV, but. We'll get to more TV. So there's still stuff to watch, even though stuff is ending. And Citadel starts this week, so that would be interesting. Okay, let's go random. Barry, what do you got?
All right. James Mangold was talking about the de-aging of Indiana Jones or Harrison Ford. And he said the opening sequence of Dial of Destiny is a 25-minute sequence that takes place in 1944 in a castle inhabited by Nazis.
I don't know if I want to hear that. Todd's covering his ears. I don't want to know that much information.
So that's all I'm going to say that is even remotely spoilerish. But what he did say, though, is that, and we talked about this a little bit, but he said that the Harrison Ford still fits in the Indy jacket, and that he basically had to tell him to act like he was 35, but they had a whole bunch of dots on his face.
Yeah.
So, and because they had all of this footage in the Lucasfilm archives from the making of all the first three indie movies, he said that they were literally able to shoot stuff on a Monday, and by Wednesday he would see dailies of Harrison Ford de-aged to know that it was working. He said that's how good the technology's gotten.
God, why would they do that? Why would they not do a body double like they did with Mark Hamill?
Mark Hamill is a little bigger than Luke Skywalker.
Because I don't think they needed to. I think that he's saying is
he hasn't got the same posture. He can't walk at the same pace. He's. I mean, unless they had him on a day when he looked like he was really tired. There's a big difference between someone in their 40s and someone in their 80s.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see, right? But he said
crash
that
planes,
he would tell Harrison to
I wonder
act
if
like
they
he was
did
35.
some of that.
I gotta
also
think
had
they
a body
did. I'm
double.
sure.
I think it's hype.
Yeah, because I think so too. I just don't see that. It's like you can't make. I mean, in Captain Marvel, they did a really, really clever thing with Nick Fury. If you remember that, they had him get hurt like right out of the chute. So he was limping through the whole thing, and he was kind of like, and which totally made up for his, obviously being 30 years older.
My guess is it's close-ups and speaking, and then action is done by someone else, like anything else would be.
But what he also said was that they have hundreds of hours of footage of him in close-ups, in mediums, in wides, in every kind of lighting, in night and in day, and they were able to scan all of that and use that to do like what they're claiming is like frame perfect de-aging and
I'm sure, I'm absolutely sure they have. I'm just saying how much of it's superimposed over his contemporary acting. I would question, just because, like I said, it just, yeah.
I guess we'll see. I'm sure there'll be plenty of behind the scenes making of things.
That's interesting. That, well, in the trailer you can tell he's strapped to the chair, back to back with his dad in that room. Right, it's in the trailer. He's hitting it. He's wearing the same uniform. He's in the same position. So I think they're going to relive that series. I think you guys, it was Dave who said it's going to be a quantum leap kind of thing.
I think so.
I don't think it was me. I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see.
I do think it is. I think he's going to go back into his old, and we'll see. But I think that's what's going to be. I think it's something like that, as opposed to a traditional. I don't think the present Indy is going back in time. I think he's going to either relive things or.
Well, if the first 25, if Act 1 takes place in that scene again, maybe he finds the Dial of Destiny in that castle in the Germans and goes forward instead of backwards.
I bet you it's not that scene in that castle.
No? How many castles full of Nazis have we seen?
And then I think everything
Nazis are always in castles. This is what they do.
It's a Nazi thing.
Yeah. All right, Todd, what do you got?
So they're talking about Adam Driver having been offered the role of Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. I am just not sure. I want to see.
I don't know if I like that.
We
heard Jodie Comer, right, for Sue Storm, which I think is a good idea.
That could work.
Be great.
And once I read that, I agree. I don't like it. I went on a little bit of lunchtime actors in their 40s to see who would come up. And I came across a list of 100 actors in their 40s. I would say half of them are already in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It's no joke.
You're right. How about 30s though? Because what you really want is like mid 30s, so you can squeeze 4 films out of them. So you can do a film every 2.5 to 3
No one
years.
came up good for me in there.
Yeah.
How about that dude who was in? But that dude who was in that 50 Shades of Grey. I wonder about that guy.
Yes, yeah. He's been in a couple other things too. And he's
got that.
Intense.
He's got a look.
He's a little intense.
Well, how do they not cast the guy from The Office? He was.
I don't know.
Krasinski,
yeah.
I don't even see that either, to be honest.
Oh, I liked him. I liked him. I think because you gotta have fun with that role because it's so absurd.
I don't think he'll sign on for that much.
Oh, I think
he's got a lot going on.
He would totally do that. You
think a potential 3 movies?
Yes.
You got Emily Blunt at home? You're going to go do those movies?
I don't know.
No, but I also
all right,
he's
I got
directing
one. What
a
about
lot.
Ian Somerhalder?
No.
He's 44 years old.
He just has the wrong look. He looks like a freaking vampire.
I don't know. He was Boone on Lost. I think he could do it.
He was in the Vampire Diaries. I don't think he's good for that. I don't know who's good. It's funny at this point. 5 years ago, it could be anybody. It feels like it has to be name actors now. Don't you get that sense that these big roles?
It kind of has to be. But I will say, I think I could see Adam Driver doing Doctor Doom. They wouldn't do that because of. Obviously,
and they said in the article I read, they said he's already basically been Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
I don't see him at all.
After that 64 bombed so badly, would they really cast him as?
I think it's 68.
No, 60. It was 64.
And it wasn't 69. We know that.
I thought it was 64.
It was 68. Movie. That's why you went to see the wrong one.
I guess.
That's why you didn't like it. I didn't see it. I think it's already on something.
It was 65. They gave away
the surprise in the trailer. So
it's the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know who. It's really. I'll do someone in their 30s, but then in the 30s you get people who are way too young. I feel like I don't know. It would be great, Tom Cruise.
No, he wouldn't.
I make believe I did.
You're not going to get 4 movies out of him either.
We didn't hear that.
He would have to stretch himself taller.
He would insist that they actually go to space to film the origin story.
Right. He's going to fly into the sun.
I'm going to throw something at you, and you're going to totally disagree with this. But he could totally do this. Is Andrew Garfield. He's got to have that little bit of goofy thing. He's got to have a little bit of goofy thing.
But then again, he's already he's done a thing. There's so many people who've done things.
Yeah.
You know, most of the Spider-Man movies are on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna have to keep thinking about that. That could be a show. Who plays Johnny Storm? Chris Evans.
Of course.
It's crazy. You don't even remember him as that now that he's Captain America.
Well, because those movies are infinitely forgettable.
Yes, exactly. Brian, what do you got?
Actually, talk about Picard. There's a link online to 3D walk around the bridge of the Enterprise D.
Oh,
when they built the set, they did a 3D walk around.
They did. Well, we'll get to but they did keep that set.
Yes, I thought. Well, at first I was shocked it wasn't. They didn't build it at Paramount. What do you mean you didn't build it at Paramount? You didn't build it in the same place it was built before? Nope, a different studio.
Oh, really? It's in LA though, right?
Yeah, it's in where is it? I was just looking. Santa Clarita Studios. I'm guessing they didn't build it at Paramount because they never could have kept it secret if they built it there.
That makes a lot of sense.
They had to build it someplace where they could keep it secret.
Yeah. More on that later. Oh, what do I got? I had the Adam Driver thing. Oh, Barry.
Yes.
You watched the show National Treasure, didn't you?
I did. I heard it was canceled. Yep.
I know how much you hate that. You invested. You're the only one of us who watched it.
Well, I mean, I watched it and finished it, but I did not expect it to be renewed. It was not very good.
Yeah, no, I just...
It wasn't as bad as the Willow show, but it was still pretty bad.
But you're always the one who hates when you watch something and then it doesn't get renewed.
Yeah, but at least that was also... That kind of wrapped itself up. I mean, if they had continued it, it would have been like a new story. It wouldn't have been... They didn't leave it on a cliffhanger, let's put it that way.
I got another quick one that doesn't relate to anything, but Dick Van Dyke, first of all, is still alive. Just so you know. He's going to be on Days of Our Lives, and he's 97. Is this guy like...
Wow.
I just thought that was funny. He's still
he playing Dick Van Dyke, or is he playing
I don't know what he's playing. He's playing an old man. But
he must be.
It's
not
crazy.
Him.
That dude's crazy. Anyway, anyone else got any random?
Yeah, I got one or two others. I'll do them quick.
Two.
So I know we've talked about this on and off again for years, but this just was posted a couple days ago, April 18th. Apparently, Paramount Plus is still developing a Galaxy Quest TV series.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
I know we have, and then now they're saying that it originally was supposed to be the original plan was a continuation of the movie, but then Alan Rickman died, and now they're saying, and I guess Simon Pegg at one point wrote a treatment for it, but they're saying it's moving forward.
But they have no details or cast or crew or director tied.
Yeah, but somebody leaks these things, right? I mean,
someone leaks everything.
So is it when you say Galaxy Quest TV show? Do you mean the movie continued, or do you mean the TV show that was on?
I assume it would be the
a continuation.
At this point, if you can't get the original cast, then it's either a reboot or it's in the universe of, right? Because are you really gonna? I mean,
you think Sigourney Weaver and?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are you really going to be able to use that?
She's not going to do it. Tim Allen may do it.
I just wondering if they might, because there was one of the other podcasts I listened to, the Trexperts. They did a whole show reviewing episodes of Galaxy Quest, the TV show, the original show that they made on the show, as if it was an actual show.
Oh, that's funny.
It was hilarious. Now, that would be great to actually do a couple episodes of the actual show.
That would be funny if the first episode is the show.
Yeah, is the show.
Then they go into...
Yeah.
But at this point, it's got to be a new cast. I mean, maybe they'll have some people from the original.
Daryl Mitchell's available.
Yeah.
And so is Monk. He's probably available.
Yeah. No, he's on
Mrs. Maisel.
That's not enough to base a show around, though.
Miss Maisel is ending. It's not that I've watched it, but I know it's ending.
I've never seen it. And then real quick, Stars on Mars. Have you heard about Stars on Mars?
No.
This is a new...
No, No, I have heard of it. It's a game show, right?
William Shatner hosting a celebrity game show where I guess they're calling it unscripted, and it's going to follow stars as they suit up to live in a colony set up to simulate what it might be like to be an astronaut on Mars. And Shatner is the host. June 5th on Fox.
Between showing up at a toy store in South Jersey and where's he finding the time?
They're calling them celebronauts.
Oh my god!
And they should spell it N-O-T, not N-A-U-T.
I just can't. I mean, that feels to me like somebody came up with the title "Stars on Mars" and said, "All right, let's figure out a show."
Pitched it, yeah.
You know who's not crazy like Shatner, but as cool? Fanboy Collectibles. Let's see. Kingpin statue, for those of you who like Kingpin. There is a Gentle Giant Mando speeder bike statue, which is very cool. A Game of Thrones Jon Snow and my favorite wolf Ghost statue available. We haven't seen stuff like that in a little while, but there's everything. There's Hot Toys and Pops and Sideshow and Kotobukias and Hasbro and I don't know, all kinds of stuff.
You name it, they got it.
They got it. If you want it, they got it. So check those guys out, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the Regular Joe sent you. And Troy emailed us saying that one of the last episodes, I guess he heard and sort of heard on the internet or one of those, who's those little guys? The little
Boba Freaks, yeah.
Boba Freaks was, after he's trying to avoid Grogu, he called him a mother effer or something like that. No, he was like, I'm out, mother effer. I don't know if that's true or not, but I did rewatch it.
Not what he said. I actually watched it back with the subtitles on.
Well, the subtitles.
How do they put subtitles in? They know what this guy's saying.
If they slipped it in there, they're not going to subtitle it correctly. But
he said
it is
no
very
squeezy,
hard to tell what he's saying.
He said no squeezy and then bad baby.
Bad baby.
No, and then after that, he does say something. He said something out.
Does say something
out, MFer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I would love that if that's true.
Yeah. Okay, which one do we want to go to first? Mando or Picard? I'll let Brian choose.
Oh gosh, that's tough. I have the most to say about Mando.
All right, then let's go Mando.
When you, it's funny. The last episode when you said, you mean that episode that jumped the shark? I thought for sure you were talking about the episode that was the one with the
I have a question for you, Brian.
Yeah,
because we were texting like a few weeks ago, and the episode that aired with,
I'm getting
Lizzo,
to that. I'm getting to that.
And you said best episode of the season. I wasn't sure if you were kidding or if you were being serious.
I was being totally serious. And when Dave said the episode that jumped the shark, I thought he was talking about the Andor episode that they slipped into the Mandalorian.
Oh, the one with the doctor.
No, that was just awful.
Almost entirely gray.
Yeah. Unbearable. It was as slow as Andor. It's like, this is not the Mandalorian.
We agreed with that, except for Barry.
That was the jump the shark episode.
No, but the one with you heard last week's episode, right? When we talked,
absolutely did.
Lizzo and it was like the holiday special.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was Logan's Run meets Blade Runner.
There was definitely Logan's Run there.
I love the fact that it was so Logan's Run.
And it was and my wife commented that it was like a little Alice in Wonderland too, through the looking glass, because that was the Mad Hatter's tea party that they walked into.
Mm.
But I mean, the line "You had me at battle droids," I laughed so long I had to back up to hear what the next lines were. That was so funny.
The overtly Logan's Run references, I knew you would appreciate.
Yeah. And you got to see Bo-Katan and Djarin working as a team, and they're so good together. It's just I'm worried and upset that the next season you're not going to see as much of her, because together they were so great. And they set Grogu aside, and the two of them just worked with Batman and Robin. It was fantastic.
Well, they did it in the finale too, a little bit, not thoroughly. But
they were such a great team playing off each other. Yeah. And the Ugnaught scene where he learns, I have spoken, because he's figured out how to talk to the Ugnaughts.
Yeah,
it was just it was great, and there were a few the cameos were a bit much.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with that.
A bit much, but It was meant to be a fun episode.
Any one of those cameos could have worked. Any one.
3 was too much.
Three was too many?
Except for the Lizzo one, maybe. I don't know. Not that I have anything against Lizzo.
We've said it already. I didn't even know who she was until somebody told me, but I just thought she was a bad actress. I didn't realize it was a
true.
celebrity.
That's the thing.
Very much felt like somebody shoehorned into that.
You can't put, Jack Black can act. Christopher Lloyd used to be able to act, but anyway. But,
I love Christopher Lloyd, but has he ever been a good actor? No. He's a great comedic actor.
Yeah, that's why he's a comedic character.
I'm sorry. Wrath of Khan, brilliant.
It's always a character. It's an over-the-top character.
He's not in Wrath of Khan.
He's in Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 3, sorry. Yeah, the one I always forget. Search for Spock.
Now, and my wife also commented, she had a great comment, that Star Wars was completely thought up because you couldn't get Flash Gordon, the serial. Yeah. And this felt like an episode from a serial. It really did. This was one page of a comic book.
It felt like a lot of other things. I mean, you ever read any Valerian?
No.
Okay. Very much like that. It actually felt like every Thor movie. It felt like, it was like, it was very much out of Star Wars. It just felt very, very strange. As a little diversion, I guess it'd be interesting, but it interrupted a story that we kind of felt was going somewhere.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
And they'd already done that to us once.
One thing I've learned, and because I've never tried it, but by watching many shows now, I've learned the hardest thing to do is what they pulled off of Babylon 5, and that is to have a overarching story through an episodic show. It's really hard to write that. So you always have some thread of the main story that's going to last a whole season during episodic episodes. They can't do it on Picard. They certainly can't do it on Discovery. They've had Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had a lot of problems with that. But this show has done a good job, but it's hard to write episodic with overarching story.
But this season, they broke it up more than they had previously. Everything in the previous season, the things, the little bits and pieces came together, linear. You had a start, a middle, and an end. This was kind of like, okay, we've got a diversion now. Oh, we got another diversion, and we're going to give you a little closure on that plot from the previous week. It was just the 2 episodes that were just like radically out of sync with everything else happening.
And if they had done those pieces shorter and kept the main story longer, it wouldn't have seemed as so like, where are we going with this? But,
and I don't, I enjoy those diversions. Like I said last week, when you only get 8 episodes in a season and you got to wait 18 months for the next 8 episodes, like
those can be 15-minute pieces. They don't need to be most of the show, especially with the Doctor
more
thing.
And again, I get that we didn't all appreciate that the Lizzo and Jack Black episode as much as Brian did. If that had been it, if that had been the only one of those things, but we also had that previous episode where everybody was like, what did we just spend 40 minutes on this for?
Not everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I don't know how you
I don't buy that. And
I don't care if you buy it. I mean, look,
you at the end of that episode, Bear, you said, wow, this is what I really wanted tonight.
No, but
bullshit.
In the context of it, it gives you something we've never gotten before, which is a view into what was it like after the Empire was defeated. What was the New Republic like, and how bureaucratic was it?
Yeah, we didn't need a whole episode of that. Even if they would have split that storyline between 3 episodes and you came back to it once in a while.
I also think now that we've seen
but
now that we've seen the finale.
Let's maybe talk about the finale.
I know, but now
that's what
now that we've seen it and we know what Moff Gideon was up to, spending that much time on the Doctor and ultimately showing what they did to the Doctor, I think makes more sense and I understand it better.
Yeah, but you could have done it in 10 minutes.
They could have done that in between 10 and 20 minutes. It didn't need to be 40 minutes. We didn't need to see that plot was extremely drawn out. It really looked like they were introducing elements that we needed to know later, and all those elements could have been done in
except for the spy
But it could have been done in his intake briefing. Okay,
I guess I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
No.
Let's go to this episode, and we all had these theories last week.
I was just going to say, before we start this, just who was right about who the quote,
none of us were right.
Plural were.
It was not complicated at all.
Yeah, I so I made my first note, and you'll appreciate this, Todd. I wrote down, this is totally fun as long as you don't dig too deep. I think that's the mistake that we've become trained to look under every rock and assume that everything is going to have a payoff, and it doesn't always pan out.
I love your religious fanatic idea.
I do.
Really a cool plot point. It was great. I could see it in my head coming out. Yeah, it was great.
But let's go again, it was misdirection, I think, because they wanted you to think all this stuff, and it wasn't there. But who were the two spies? Was there more than one spy?
I don't think there was. I think that there was the spy, the woman who we were just talking about, and I think that they used the term spies to refer to that landing party that went down to scout out the planet, because technically they were spies.
They were scouts,
but
they were going to a planet that she is technically still the ruler of. They were.
Well, no, but they sent down a small group and waited. They were supposed to go check it out and get back to the fleet. And
how are they spies?
That's scouts. That's a scout.
Well, what about was Moff Gideon a spy?
Or you call it the expedition, or you call it,
I'm not saying it was that. I think that was well played, Todd. I'm just saying I think that might have been what they were referring to.
But I think Moff Gideon was a spy because he was supposed to be dead. He escaped. He had a whole thing he was doing on the. It doesn't matter.
But that doesn't make him a spy.
I'm actually glad that it wasn't something like. If it was like the Armorer, like we theorized, it would have been like, so here's this character who's been in for like 3 seasons, and all of a sudden she's bad. I'm glad it was pure action. You got fighting, you got space battle, you got all kinds of stuff, and it was just clean.
I am the super soldier with a super suit. Okay, we'll crash a spaceship on you.
Why not?
Exactly. You do what it takes. And I gotta say, I think they intentionally did exactly what they did for the reason they did. They made you think Axe Woves took off. Oh, we didn't see him again. You showed the Armorer going back, and I mean they did those cutaway shots and then abandoned both of those characters in the previous episode. You didn't see either one of them get anywhere. You were supposed to think one of them was betraying them. I think that was intentional.
Yeah.
So I guess it was like, oh, surprise. The surprise is there's no surprise.
The thing that I just don't get, and the horns on the helmet thing. I mean,
yeah, that was a great clue that they didn't do anything with.
But it's been on the armor since season 1.
We only started talking about it last week.
It was on Moff Gideon's helmet. We know from the Clone Wars that those were the devotees of Darth Maul. It just, why put those on at all?
They look cool.
I guess it's because they look cool. You're right, Dave.
But even those white, the guys in the white armor was Beskar too, and I thought originally those. I
don't think so.
Yeah, I watched it again tonight.
Dark Troopers,
a new generation of. Did you think they had made those already? I thought he was like the pro.
I thought the guys in the white suits behind the force fields, which they were fighting, were the clones, but apparently they weren't.
No, they're not. Those were
Beskar things. You could tell the way they were fighting and the clanking noises they were making.
Well, not only that, those guys are the ones that went and busted Moff Gideon out. He didn't have the Beskar suit at that point. So the little piece of Beskar that was in the shuttle.
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
So so I was thinking it was another case of Moff Gideon being like, "Yeah, we have Beskar now. I have it. They don't."
So, but one of my favorite lines though was Moff Gideon said, and it was not in the finale; it was in the previous episode. He's like, the coolest thing about these suits is that I'm in them."
Yeah.
Now we didn't realize that he meant not just him, but it was going to be clones of him too.
And
all those chambers were clones of him, not the Emperor.
They were him.
So that's the thing. That's why he killed Pershing. he was going to steal the cloning technology for himself, and he didn't want. And if you remember at the beginning of that episode you all hated about Dr. Pershing, he was doing a TED talk talking about cloning. They realized that they needed to shut him up so that he wouldn't give that secret away to anybody else.
If Kane had then just pushed him off one of the walkways without a railing, because they still have those, that would have been fine after the TED talk, and we would have been spared 30 minutes. Okay?
I'm just trying to bring it all together.
I do understand, Barry, but I'm saying...
And he was saying, when he's talking to Mando at the sort of the end, that he put the Force in them, or wanted to. Did we believe that he got some DNA from Grogu, or was he still looking to figure out?
He was still trying. I don't think he ever got it.
Because I'm curious if one of those survived, if he survived.
It's possible that we may see him return as one of those clones, if not all of them were.
Do you think
they
he
might
got
not all have
burned
been
up?
there either?
Yeah, I think I told you guys. I just really wanted one of those tanks just to have Luke's hand floating in it.
Yeah,
it would have been so awesome.
I really hated that they spent all this time on the Darksaber and then they just crush it. It's like, come on.
The next time we see the Darksaber, she's going to be pulling it out of the forge.
I don't think so. I think it was one of the things that they were so devoted to the idea of the Darksaber that taking it out of the equation is what's allowing the Mandalorians to come together.
I'll buy that. I think
to come together.
I think they realize that he even sort of foreshadowed, all you Mandalorians are nothing without your trinkets.
Yeah,
and they're like, no, it's all of us being together. So I think that kind of signified.
That all of those Mando tribes coming together is why the Mythosaur is awakening now.
And Barry, how do you feel about having another thing that's been destroyed?
Yeah, well,
in the show.
Well, I gave one up and I took one back, right? So
at least you got various forms of
back.
IG-11.
But IG-11's back with a different paint job, isn't he?
IG-11 is back with a different paint job, but the Darksaber is gone.
Yeah.
Look, how many people bought that Hasbro Razor Crest and then they blew it up? So.
Yeah.
before I came in, and that's the thing. It's like this is the don't get attached to anything but Grogu show. Okay?
Yeah,
because everything else goes away.
I enjoyed this. I'm glad it was.
I really want that Beskar spear. That's really.
That didn't even make.
They're gonna melt it down.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a lot of action. It was a lot of cool action. We good defeated evil. That's Star Wars to me. I will
say the Mandalorians fighting aerially was something I wanted to see live action since like forever, and that was awesome.
It was right out of the Clone Wars when she was flying with the Darksaber and everything. It was great.
when the armor is flying and just beating the crap out of people with the hammer as they go by.
Why does she have her little?
She's always got the pliers and the hammer.
Tongs, tongs and the hammer. I get the hammer. Why the tongs?
You can whack somebody with both hands.
Yeah.
I thought those were great. I thought some of the scenes, there's a lot of John Wick action there. I got a lot of headshots in there. But
you needed them because I'm glad Grogu used his Force a little.
And again, a lot of that was CGI, and I know that. But some of those aerial things where it's just like two people coming at her, she shoots both of them and flies between the two bodies as they fly to the side. It was just awesome.
The amount of action and the fighting, the action, and the space battle stuff was really movie level quality.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I love the riding the spaceship into the whole thing. That was just great. Oh, I'm bringing it in. You might want to get out of the way because I'm flying it down. And
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good. And I'll say this. It almost felt like a series finale the way they.
I was just going to say the same thing, Barry.
But I also feel like it was their way of saying, when you see us again, it's going to be back to the new adventures of Din Djarin and Grogu, and not so much the whole Mandalorian thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that little circle thing at the end when they close it down.
Just the fact that he went
and worry a little bit about how long we're going to wait for the next chapter, but
the fact that he went back to that New Republic base and he was like, "Hey, look, I'll do missions for you," or whatever. To me, it felt like they were resetting, the tone of the show.
This is okay. We've got a jumping off point. We can do whatever we need to do from here.
It'll be, and I'm curious, will it be another season that then leads into Filoni's movie? Maybe.
I think it
Mando
will be.
show up?
I think we're going to get
Also,
at least one season of Ahsoka, maybe two. We're going to get the next season of Mando, and there's one other show. Oh, Book of Boba Fett that all ties together.
And that's what I was saying is they also put him in a position where he can show up anywhere else now.
He could show up in Ahsoka even.
He can show up in Ahsoka without dangling plot lines.
Yeah.
So
no, it was good. It was fun. It was exciting. It was, I was just satisfied with how it ended. I'm glad there wasn't all this sort of last minute. Oh, by the way, this is the bad guy. Like it's cheesy.
Yeah.
I don't think we.
And
need
now
that
we
stuff.
have Din Grogu.
Din Grogu, which I don't understand how that works, but that's fine.
I don't understand that either. But
isn't Japanese or Chinese or Asian their first name is
it's Bajarin.
Yes, exactly. It's Bajarin. No, it does. I mean, again, as I said to you guys, if Fett is the last name in Boba Fett's family, right? You got Jango Fett and Boba Fett. Okay. I don't think we've seen a Mandalorian family where they use the last name first, right?
Who else do we know?
Well,
no, but
Bo-Katan.
Honestly, they've been very clear that Jango Fett wasn't a Mandalorian.
Yeah, but Bo-Katan's family name is
Kreese.
Kreese.
Actually.
They don't call her
Paz
Kreese.
Vizsla is the last name, right? Because
that doesn't.
Vizsla is a family name too, so I don't fully understand it.
And that's right, and he is of that sect, so it's not even of that sect,
right?
Maybe they made a mistake. No, I don't know.
Or maybe maybe they didn't want to call him
Grogu Djarin because
Grogu Djarin was just too complicated.
Yeah.
When's that kid going to say a couple words? I thought maybe he'd
I
say
really
something.
thought he was going to.
You know what?
I thought he was going to.
On the steps in the water, he was going to say, the way this is.
Yeah.
I thought he was just going to look up in a very, very small Yoda voice, say, the way this is.
And at least he's using the Force and he's not like have to fall asleep anymore, which is good.
I'm glad, just for the record, I'm glad as well that the armor wasn't.
Oh yeah. I will say I really did like how they used him in that last scene. I love the Force bubble thing. But I also love where he's just like pushing the weapons out of the way and stuff.
Yeah.
And when somebody his power, his Force use seemed to be very, as it's been, tied to emotion. So like when the Mandalorian was genuinely in peril, he was capable of doing more than he could do to defend himself. And then when they were going to die, he summoned even more. So
did you guys get the Groot vibe when he was doing the force field around the fire?
Oh yeah.
Even the music sounded like the music from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they would have done, and it only needed to be 2 or 3 seconds long, but they never showed Grogu veering away from the pack. Like they were all running out of that. Bo-Katan cuts the hole in the door. They all go through it. Even if there had just been a moment where he stopped and sensed something with the Force that Din was in trouble, but he just shows up out of nowhere to save.
Also because
Mando.
that suit is kind of odd. I
don't think
kind of awkward.
Yeah.
It's kind of like where they don't always show R2 going places. He's just there.
Yeah, but I mean, they showed them all running down the hallway.
Yeah,
they could have showed him just making it going a different way or something. But
no.
Speaking of R2, R5 comes to the rescue again, or at least help.
Well, and now we know what those little things on the top of the mouse
droids are great. Oh my god!
The mouse droid. Okay, so I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Michael McMaster.
Yes.
He made all those mouse droids.
He made the mouse droids.
He made the mouse droids.
R5.
He made R5.
He made the probe droid.
The probe. The big black probe droid. Yes,
I follow him on.
I
don't really know.
So the probe droid was actually an actual thing.
It's a real. Yeah, it's a real
I've been
thing.
watching him on Instagram make it. He made it all on a 3D printer for the past year.
Wow.
But good for him.
He had it at Celebration.
Yeah.
Both celebrations actually. One in Europe too.
Yeah, I didn't know you were friends with him. I knew you knew him, but that's cool. He built all those R5 and all that stuff is his.
Don't we want mouse droids? Find out what it would take.
Yeah, exactly.
I need a mouse droid now.
I've always loved the mouse droids.
That was great, but the idea that like he repels one of them and he comes back with a whole pack of them was brilliant.
Yeah. You see one fell off the ledge,
one who went right off the ledge. But that was so Filoni, okay? That was like it was exactly something that you saw that and you're like, oh yeah, this is
the data probe that the R5 used was just jet on the R2 data probe. I mean, I know that we actually got at one of the celebrations. Don Bees brought that probe, and we took a zillion pictures of it. I'm guessing one of them just reproduced it exactly because it was dead on the probe.
Yeah, it looked perfect.
The R2 used, yeah,
it looked perfect.
But that's cool that he made all that stuff. So he makes robots for a living, basically, or
he does now. Yeah. He was an orange farmer.
Really?
Yeah, in Central California. Yeah,
he made the suit that Gordon wore for that web series, didn't he?
Did he? I thought Gordon.
I think Gordon.
He made the R5 unit in that too.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking of.
If you wanted to have him come on sometime to talk about it, we wouldn't be averse to that.
I can do that.
Okay. Yeah. I follow him on Instagram. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He's always building stuff. And the funny thing is I remember him building those mouse droids, and then I remember him building the probe droid, and then you don't really get the sense of, oh, these are for television. Like you just you just think he's building them for fun.
For fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's also hilarious. Yeah, you guys will love him on the show. I'll say
that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, and I think
we may have met him at this Chicago celebration, I think.
I think Gordon makes the IG heads for them too, because
the chrome blue 3PO in that episode in the robot bar, which we didn't touch on, which is another anachronism, was also a R2 Builder Club guy, not someone out of Hollywood.
Right. And that was a really cool version of that droid.
Yeah, all the Rex droids from Star Wars. That's all R2 Club guys too. It was probably almost all of those droids were from the R2 Club.
I'm surprised Gordon's not in all those Navarro. There's a ton of 3PO types. And
they use that other guy for that.
Do they use the other guy?
Yeah.
There are different production camps at Lucasfilm, right? There's the Mando camp. There's the Obi-Wan camp. There's the Ahsoka camp, and they don't cross-pollinate.
Oh, really?
Those groups all work with one set of people.
Sense because you don't want to be like tying up resources and stuff like that.
Yeah, I need that robot. Oh, the robot's on the other set. No, you have your own.
And they're in different. I think Mando is in California, and I think Obi-Wan wasn't that somewhere else.
No, Obi-Wan was in California.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Because my other friend Mike was on Obi-Wan. I think Gordon.
Chris Bartlett is the guy I'm thinking of. They use him a lot.
Yeah. And I think
that's
Gordon,
right.
I don't think Gordon's in the Mando camp. He's in one of the other ones.
Yeah.
That's how they work. Yeah.
But that's awesome stuff. And I love the little police lights on top of the thing. That's so funny.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great.
There was a great mouse droid at one of the celebrations that had an opening, and then inside is a mouse in like TIE fighter armor. Driving the mouse droid. That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, so I think Todd, you liked this episode. You're the most critical of Mando.
Oh, I did like this episode, and I'll say I like the season overall. I think it's those two episodes make it very uneven, but I think if you selectively editing, we got some really awesome stuff this season. I'm also wondering if like they just needed filler, and they had what they had to get this storyline worked out, and then they needed these two other things to just kind of tie things together. You'll never explain that episode to me. The second episode, it doesn't make sense. That diversion with what the payoff from that diversion was.
If you go back and watch the first season again, there were a lot of episodes that were completely non sequitur, out of line of any plot point. They were just dropped in, and he did a good deed, and they left.
But that was him, though. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying all of a sudden, let's just forget these characters exist now for the next 40 minutes, and there was no. He was showing up in the background. He didn't even park his car and walk away, and then this was happening.
The episode with the doctor
That's what I'm talking about.
Somebody was saying today that they actually rewatched the entire season leading up to the finale, and that in the second viewing they felt like it was more cohesive. I think when you're watching it
is that person's name Barry Kay?
No, but I don't know.
But you can't dismiss the first watching element of that episode and be like, what just happened? Because it's like, wait a minute, is this going to be next episode too?
It was definitely a gear grind.
I would have preferred more of a payoff to that. I can't disagree with that.
Anyway, a fun season, mostly, although some hiccups, a lot of really good stuff, and any March, April where you have Star Trek and Star Wars that's mainly enjoyable is a good time.
Yeah,
a good time. Speaking of, let's go to Picard series finale. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Okay. I don't want to jump ahead, but
the last two episodes of Picard were the biggest fan service I've ever seen.
For sure.
And it was great.
Okay, yes. I was going to say, and what's wrong with that?
It was great.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think this series did everything it needed to do. I don't.
This season.
If you take this season, this took everything we ever needed to see in Picard.
Yeah.
And they did it in a single season.
And we didn't need the other two seasons.
No.
In fact, they invalidated two major things from last season. It's like we didn't see the Girardi Borg collective that was supposedly joined Starfleet. Okay, we didn't see them. Okay, they didn't come to the rescue. They didn't show up anywhere. They didn't factor in.
Thank God.
Okay, no, but I'm saying that was the thing. Okay, if they came in and said, "Oh, we're gonna latch on and we're gonna stall them while you do this," that at least would have made sense. But no, it was just never referenced again. And
Alison Pill wasn't the queen.
She
should have been.
And then we'll get to the other towards the end. But it's like I said, there's two major.
There was a lot of fan service.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who has not seen this season yet and did not really love the first two seasons and asked me, because he said, "Don't spoil it," but and I said, "No, this season was what we always wanted out of a Picard. Like, if you were ever going to bring those characters back, what they did this season is
you could probably watch just the last half of it and be even more pleased, because it was a little bumpy in the first half.
It was a little with the whole Jack thing, but they didn't drag it out.
And it was stronger in the second half. I do think
the Jack
once
thing
they got
could
the
have
band
taken
back
a turn.
together is when it really all came. It really started clicking.
But I will say, I will think a lot less of Nemesis now, as being the last time they were together, and this really paved that over nicely. So
yeah. And the Enterprise was great, and like I was just saying before, they built it. Took 6 months to build. I watched the Ready Room with the showrunner, this guy Terry Matalas,
who honestly is on my list, on my good list now.
Oh, he's totally on the good. He was a assistant to the producers on Voyager.
Yes.
That's like he was like a PA basically.
Yep.
But he's done a bunch of other stuff, and he really digs into these characters. Did you watch that Ready Room?
I have not.
It's
seen
him and Jerry Ryan. I just watched it tonight.
I heard him on a podcast talking about really briefly. I got to mention that the Kirk body in the archives.
Yep. Yeah.
And Robin was like, "You bringing Kirk back?" I said, "No, I just put that out there so some writer someday
can say, well, we got his body."
It's canon now. It's
and this
guy
directed the last two. But anyway, the 6 months to build the Enterprise D, and they only shot on it for 2 days.
Yeah. Wow. And it's fine. It's what it needed to be. And honestly, the E is great.
I love the E, but
that's attached to different things. Okay. This is the
ship of that series. Absolutely.
And that's the thing. And that was where it just, taking him back there, it also fit. It is totally what Geordi would have done. Okay. Geordi loves that ship. He would not have let them scrap that saucer section.
Yeah.
And that totally made perfect sense. Going back,
except flying it with only 7 people.
Again, this is not the original ship. This is a ship that's made for the museum. Okay, it's made for the museum. It's mostly automated.
I love the way Todd justifies stuff for something he likes. But
but when it's something he doesn't,
because he doesn't like it, there's no way.
I'm saying
at the Air and Space Museum, all those airplanes are full of gas and guns and bombs,
absolutely,
and they're ready to go.
And that's how it is.
No, but they had drones that were loading up all the artillery. They
did. Thank you, Barry, for backing me. No,
back you on that part, but I'm with Dave on the other part.
Okay. Not everyone in that ship is running the ship. There's several shifts. Okay. There's several shifts. Okay. I do not believe you can operate that ship with no one in engineering. I will say that. Okay. So that's
well, but you know what? Let me just say this.
Jordy's been doing it for 20 years. He automated it all.
But but he's got a whole crew down there. And it's like every time he'd be on the bridge, I'd be like, shouldn't you be? But yes, anyway.
Let me just say this though. When it's really done well, you can forgive a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
That scene where Dr. Crusher is managing all the weapons and they're just like looking at her and she's like, I've been busy for the last 20 years. Like, you can totally forgive that when it's going so good.
Yeah. No, it was good. It totally right.
Again, she know how to do tactical.
They never let her push a button on the bridge in the entire series. So,
but at least they acknowledge that.
She's able to do it really well. But that was you can forgive it when you're like, oh my God, they're giving me everything I wanted.
But this is like Mando was like. Nothing bad happened. Nobody died. I thought for sure someone was going to die.
Oh, I did too.
But
the new captain died.
Well, I mean, no one of the
original 7. Right?
We knew from the first time we saw that guy, he was going to die. I mean, there was no question about that. A lot of
people wore red shirts. He wore more of a red shirt than anyone.
We knew he would die.
I'm
glad because I thought like Worf wasn't going to make it or someone. Good data, but I'm glad they didn't kill everybody. That's the way it should be.
A couple of people I could have seen going out the airlock.
I don't know. So Todd and I were texting Dave when you said you hadn't seen it yet. I always liked the character Worf, but Worf in this was my absolute favorite. He had all the best lines.
They did the right thing with him, okay, and they made it. They played off the funny things. They did they made it work, okay. Otherwise, it would have just
Zen Worf.
When Riker says he's going, and then Worf goes,
Worf is funny by itself, and it's just
when Worf goes, and I will make it a threesome, and Riker looks at him and goes, "Did you even hear yourself?" And then when he's like, "Why a sword?" and Worf's like, "Swords are fun."
Yeah, swords are fun. And then, of course, he's actually got a disruptor in the handle of the sword.
Yeah. That was great. And then when Riker went to pick up the sword,
and it's super heavy.
Jesus, thing's heavy.
No, they did a lot of good stuff. It was fun. They wrapped it up. I thought perfectly.
My other favorite line was when Worf was like, "There was a moment today when I was worried we might actually survive."
Survive, yes. Yeah, very good. And they did
Worf
a good
was
job.
The best.
Yeah. The other thing is you felt the kinship between them.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't forced. It wasn't. It was like this. You could see the respect they had for each other. These are people that at this point in their lives had no hesitation to sacrifice themselves for each other and for what they were doing. The other thing too is this is like one last chance to save the universe for a group of people who've saved the universe like a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I will say in the end, I didn't even mind Jack. I really did not like that character from the beginning. I think it would have been hard to make this work without someone in that role because, you needed, again, if it was just, let's bring Picard, let's make Picard Locutus again. And then let's all try to talk.
Oh, you totally needed it.
We've seen that story before. This kind of brought it all back together. It was the kind of, sins of the fathers thing. And like I said, it worked. And I'll still never buy. He's 24 years old.
Yeah,
but,
that is the only issue. But and even on the thing on the showrunner, this guy Terry was saying that Patrick Stewart was like, "I'm not doing the Borg again. We're not going back to the Borg." And then he explains like, "Look, This is why we're doing it. And the whole thing of you have to save your son, and you're even willing to go back into the collective. You wouldn't go back into the collective for anything else, blah, blah, blah. So that's what convinced them to do it. So,
and I like the zombie Borg. Zombie Borg were cool.
Those were pretty cool.
Zombie Borgs are cool, and I love the rotting Borgs that were just like, because they were just,
and they were clever about it. It's in the transporter, so when the thing, it was easy to get it out of everyone without it being a whole thing.
And there was I know we kind of talked about the Enterprise, but there was a shot when the Enterprise came out of warp in front of where the Borg cube was going to be, that I almost cried. That shot of the Enterprise was so beautiful. It looked better than it's ever looked. I mean, the new CGI model for it was just spectacular.
And every light was on, even though there's nobody in the dish.
I made that point. I texted the guys. I'm like, isn't that a little energy inefficient?
It's all LED lighting now. It's not incandescent anymore. It's cheap. It doesn't cost anything.
But they did such a good job. I mean, it looked better than it ever looked. It just
that was amazing shot.
The fat one, as they said in the first episode.
The fat one.
And it was not lost on me that they had to fly the Enterprise into the Borg cube, just like the Falcon going into.
Oh my god! It was the trench run thing was just like, oh god.
This guy, Terry, and he directed I think that episode and maybe another one, but he's pulling definitely from. Stuff. There's definitely the feel of other sci-fi and everything. I feel like he definitely, with that kind of thing.
Again, the flying down inside the thing has been done in a million ways and tons of times. But they made it all work. They tied it all together.
Shot when the Enterprise came down towards them when they were with the Borg Queen. That was a shot we've never seen before.
That was cool. That it was like inside the ship ripping itself apart. That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
But the whole thing was good again, and I'm glad no one died.
The only thing, and Todd and I also texted about this over the weekend, that end scene with Q was completely unnecessary.
So, if you want to set up the new series, now we've already killed Q, okay? Now we just cheapen that death. If you want to set up the new series and you really want to do a Q thing, and as I said to Barry, you have somebody else be Q, who says, wait a minute. He said, but Q's dead. And he said, and I'm just, there's always.
I don't even remember Q being dead, to be honest with you.
But he died, and it was a big thing.
Remember,
okay?
There was a whole thing with him and Data.
You have someone else super recognizable that you definitely want to see be Q. There's Q. It would not be hard to find that person. You find just somebody. Okay, you know what I thought of was Jim Parsons. Okay. No, but I'm saying
a little hokey.
But again, you want somebody annoying, you want somebody whatever, and there he is. He's like, there's always a Q. Okay, and then just kind of like
Q doesn't die though. There's a million Qs.
Why do we even need to see it when they're not?
What I'm saying is, you could do it in a way.
Well, okay, but here's again. This was from you got watching from this episode when they ended all good things, and this guy knows he's a fan. He knows his Star Trek. When they ended all good things. Q said something like, and he's like, is it finally over? He's like, it's never over, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I don't remember the words, but he sort of says, like, to be continued. This is where this all comes from. It's never over. Now it's your son's problem.
And but what I'm saying is having him, that version of Q, because we've also seen other versions of Q. To have that version of Q come back,
it's unrecognizable if it was somebody else, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, they wanted to put him in the show, so they put him in the show. Again, that's
he was in the show last season.
That does not make me want to see more. That did not make me want to see more of what they were trying to set up a plot, right? A pilot right there. They were trying to stage.
Well, there's a whole thing right there.
But I'm saying that did not inspire me to want to see that.
I didn't have a problem with it.
What I think set up the pilot way better than that was that whole sequence on the bridge of the Enterprise.
I agree, and that's why I'm saying that one thing was just like, it's like really that you're just trying that hard.
I want to work for Starfleet because you can do anything and they'll let you back in and give you a promotion.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, no.
Anything.
It's better than that. It's better than that. Okay, your actions can lead to dozens of starships being destroyed, and they will shortcut you through Starfleet.
That's
and
right.
give you a seat on the bridge of the flagship.
He's
Right.
only an ensign, though. It's no
like-
big deal.
Yeah, but
Was it a lieutenant? Isn't one Pip a
No,
lieutenant?
I think it was an ensign.
Ensign.
That whole sequence with Seven and him, and I mean that is a show I'd watch. I don't really want to.
I agree. I agree. I mean, they got to kill Raffi in the first episode.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Why did there's no need for it. I was so excited for Seven, and then the fact that Tuvok was there and all that. That was all good stuff. And then freaking Raffi's got to be there.
Yeah.
Like, are they not a couple anymore? I mean, we know they broke
they're
up.
not
but,
a couple anymore. But,
like, do you really want your ex-lesbian partner to be your number one? I mean, I don't know.
I would say no. I would say
that's probably not a good
an HR
idea.
rule against that.
You just don't need her.
Somewhere.
I just don't. That character's not good.
Yeah.
But I love Seven as Captain. I love to see Seven. This guy set up like several shows potentially, and then now there's this whole online thing about Star Trek Legacy, which isn't even a real thing, but it could be like an episode of Seven on the thing, an episode of Q with the other thing. It could go back to Deep Space Nine characters. It could go to Voyager characters.
Right.
That could be interesting. Imagine a sort of what's the
ABC
old
Sunday night movie?
That's exactly what I was thinking. The
So
dial,
expensive.
the movie. What would they used to
They
call
need
it?
to get on the
ABC
McLeod
Sunday night movie.
and-
the wheel thing.
The wheel of the action wheel movie. That would be cool.
Too expensive.
McMillan and wife.
They need
McLeod,
to get one
Columbo.
ship. Right. It was exactly Columbo, McMillan and wife,
McLeod and something else.
McLeod. Yep.
Vanacek. I don't know.
They need to do one. They need to have a ship that they can have it so that they can have bottle episodes. But you could, if you set something in this time frame, you have a ton of characters to make cameos. You have a ton of people that you go visit Janeway or wherever she is.
Yeah, there's a
Visit
ton.
Chakotay, wherever whatever. And I think it. I
can't imagine they're gonna let this guy and Paramount let him do it. Seven's on the new Enterprise. Q's back in the mix, and you're gonna just let it hang there? There's no freaking way.
No way.
I wonder if the upfronts are next month. I wonder if that's where they announce it. It wouldn't usually for next season.
They won't do a thing till after Strange New Worlds is over. But
Because what else
think
is
about
left?
this.
Star Trek.
Discovery is done this year.
Well, now we know that there's the movie with Giorgio, right? We didn't talk about that, but they officially announced that.
Can't they just not do Discovery and just do this
Discovery's
instead?
done.
Well,
They've
just
got
scrap it.
Starfleet Academy. They got
Oh,
this. I think they need to do this. I think they do need to.
I'm sure they're gonna. They can't not.
I think the fan reaction is going to force them to like Strange New Worlds.
Yep.
People are going to be so in love with
That
this
took 2
idea
years.
that they're going to have to do it.
That took 2 years.
2 years. There you go.
From season 2 to when Strange New Worlds was announced.
But there's a lot hanging out there. Anyway, it's all good.
Did any of you find it a little weird that the G looked weird? We've never seen that.
I am
far up the alphabet.
1,000% on board with you saying that. And for the 2 seconds we saw the F, I'd rather have not seen the F at all, and this was the F and not the G. The
F
G
get
is too
destroyed?
far.
Did we see the F?
I am
destroyed?
sure it did. But we didn't see it get destroyed. We saw it.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, so is there an F and a G now?
No, I'm
Is it
sure the F
somewhere?
got destroyed.
It's somewhere. It sounds like Worf broke it, but it's still somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's just too far up the alphabet.
I wish it was the F. The F would have made sense. It's at least, we lived with the D. We've lived with the E. Here's the F. We never got to see the F at all. So why go to G? They should have cut that little snippet.
F is just a little.
Just go back to calling it the Enterprise. You can do that.
I'm fine with the G. I mean, I'm fine with them having it, but I don't like that letter G. 7, you got like the sloppy sevenths of
Also, though, like
A,
also,
B,
it's
C,
like
D, E, F, G.
they rechristen the ship. So they take this ship, which in itself had it was kind of a significant ship. they rebuilt it and apparently threw away 90% of it to rebuild it as the Titan A, which again makes no sense. And then they decide to throw away that name to stick the Enterprise on yet another ship. It just is like,
yeah, I don't know why
they said to honor the crew. What's wrong with that?
They could have built a new one. They didn't have to.
I thought it was going to be called the Picard at first.
So did I. I thought
I did too. I really did. I thought that.
It totally needs to be the Enterprise. A little much.
Yeah.
I could take that with being very light gray paint, like, yeah.
We'll see that in the next 2 seasons. We'll see something. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
this guy's totally set it up, and I think he's ready to do it. So we'll see. I think again, all good stuff. 2 good, solid series season finales.
Can't agree.
Really,
yes, hooray! Some good stuff for a change.
Did this meet expectations? I mean, I will say, I was saying for a long time, they could not make a 3rd season as bad as the first 2 because they knew everything they had done wrong. This is better than I expected.
Yeah. We were very wary of it.
Yeah.
But to your point, they've done it season after season after season on Discovery. So they could have screwed it up. They just
I was very unhappy with the first half. I thought for sure they had screwed it up, but the second half completely paid it off.
Yeah, and they got everyone together. No one died. They all had their own moment. And it's funny. Yeah. The poker, they were very much talking about the last shot in All Good Things was the poker game, and now they did this poker game. And they said, the guy was saying they had to get a few lines out, and they ran the camera for 45 minutes and let them just do their own thing. So there's a lot of them like ad-libbing and laughing and doing things. They were 45 minutes and stuff, and he's like, everyone's going to want to see the whole 45 minutes.
I missed the visor on Brent Spiner. I thought maybe he would have that with the visor.
My fear this season was going to be Star Trek Cocoon, but but it wasn't at all. And I got to say, bring in the younger characters. They balanced it out.
Oh yeah, and Jordy's daughter's on the new Enterprise. That's good too.
Yeah.
So all good. Okay.
Okay.
We've been going for a while. Well, we're going to go to something called Joe's Choice, where we each do some segment because we have something that we want to talk about. Is that okay? Brian, why don't you go first? What are you choosing and what are you talking about?
I have a what's in the box.
Okay.
And here's the box.
Oh, look at that. That's a big box with Maria from
Metropolis. The box is absolutely incredible. It opens like this.
Wow.
Inside.
Well, that looks like a heavy box for a 1/6 scale figure.
A ton.
How long ago did you order that?
I think it was 3 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Todd.
That's some box.
And it is some box. And it is not a Metropolis robot action figure. It is a Brigitte Helms action figure that wears the Metropolis costume.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
So you've got her face that you can put in there. Yeah.
And all the parts come apart and all go back on again if you want. And it's
wow. Who made that? What company made that?
Oh, it's not anyone I've heard of. WSM Art, distributed by Novel Toys. Executive replicas. That's
yes.
executive.
I think my what was it was executive replicas was the Vampirella that I have.
And I think they're the ones that make those really high-end Lost in Space figures.
Oh, really?
Oh, that may be right.
Oh, okay.
They don't make the 2001 suits, do they?
Maybe.
Oh my God. I have one of those somewhere here.
That's cool. We'll throw pictures up somewhere about that.
It's phenomenal. It's
when you get it out of the box and set up, we need to see pictures of it.
We want to see pictures.
Yeah. Okay. It comes with a stand and everything. Yep. Yeah.
Todd, what do you got?
This is a very simple thing. I got this from Amazon. One of my students.
It's a what's in the box?
It's a Joe's Choice regular RJ pick.
It's a pick.
Okay.
It's a pick is a thing that you should buy that we buy. Is not necessarily what's in the box.
It's clear museum gel. It's just this clear kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
And you take a little glob out and you put it under an action figure to keep that you're not using a display stand because you should never use display stands. They take up space and they don't look as good. And you just
until he starts liking display stands.
And you can actually get some really good positions, and it just keeps it on the shelf.
What's its consistency? Like how thick?
It's
because I have wax that does that, but that looks better.
It's more, yeah.
This way more.
Yeah, it's kind of like waxy, but it's very clear, and it works. It's worked well so far. I got a couple of action figures that I used it on that have fallen over a whole bunch of times, and it just kind of keeps them down. I've done like poster putty before, just to keep.
Yeah, that just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. This has worked really well for what I've used it for. It's really meant for putting like vases and things like that in display cases and not having them fall over. But I have there's a train that goes by that's like, I don't know, it's quite a ways away from here, but stuff still shakes when they put the brakes on. And they do a brake test like twice a year. And whenever they do that, I mean, we're talking like the equivalent of like 5 streets away. Okay. And then down over an embankment, and stuff will fall over when they do the brake tests. I'm hopefully this will work, but it's been great. And I've done a couple of figures that just won't stand up, and it's worked really well. It's just, again, clear museum gel, and for securing glass and crystal is what it says. But like I said, it works really well for action figure feet. So
that's cool.
I did just look it up, by the way. Executive Replicas made the Vampirella figure that Todd has. They also make the high-end Lost in Space, and they also make the 2001 spacesuits. They make all of those things.
Wow.
I can say that Vampirella is great, and the details, the accessories and the details, the painting on those is like Hot Toys quality. So, yeah.
Cool. Barry, what are you doing?
I'm going to do what's on my workbench, and you guys saw lots of pictures of this in process, but this is finally finished.
It's smaller than you would think.
It's a 1/16 scale World War II Willys Jeep model kit. That's one of the most detailed and most complicated kits I've probably ever built. It was a huge amount of effort and labor and detail, but it's finally finished. It has a driver in there. The last step was, and I don't know if you can really see it on camera, but was putting all the splashes of mud on it and really getting it dirty because it looked way too clean when I finished it. But I'll take some pictures of it.
No, it looks good. That guy looks real.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it came out good. The rope I added on the front of it too, that wasn't necessarily part of it. What this is the first time I've ever really worked on a car model since I was a kid, and I did go a little nuts, because you can open up the hood, and I did detail out the entire engine compartment with wires and hoses, and this comes off. And I had sent a picture of it to a friend of mine, and he thought it was an actual Jeep engine, so I was happy about that.
The rust on the exhaust system was amazing.
Yeah,
I did the full weathering on the bottom of it as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so I'll post some pictures of this because it kind of talking about it doesn't do it justice. I'm very happy with the way it came out.
Yeah, it came out great.
So Brian, when you see a Jeep like that with a 50 caliber on the back, what do you think of?
That's Rat Patrol.
I always think War of the Worlds.
Oh, okay.
You're right. Yeah, Rat Patrol's the other. I always think War of the Worlds.
Totally do
all those Jeeps pulling up and just getting melted.
You can do a version of this as a Rat Patrol Jeep. You just have to add on, and they make aftermarket canisters and pouches and crates and all kinds of stuff you can put in there. But yeah, it's definitely, you could do a Rat Patrol of this pretty easily. Yeah. Yeah. And I did it with the MP decal set, but it came with like 3 or 4 different versions of decals. Cool. You could have done different versions. So.
Oh yeah, here it is. Are the photon torpedoes? Same noise.
Yep. All right, Dave, what do you got?
All right, I'm doing workbench I guess slash show and tell. So you saw my last samurai sword I bought. So I'm putting something in so I made a stand for it. I'm putting some pictures in the text, which we'll show you. So I wanted a simple stand where I could put a plaque on it, and as you could see behind me, it's up on the wall back there. And it's funny. It's so funny how I know this guy who's a huge maker, and he always says, you go to school on the first one, and then you always sort of need to build the second one. So I made this, and my first inclination was to hold it up on some hooks, sort of, at its balance point. Now, that looked like, again, you'll see when you see it, people. Sorry. It's this one. Here we go. And this is what it looked like, which was totally, because it balances only, it's very front heavy, obviously, because it's a sword. So
it doesn't look good at all.
It doesn't look good at all. So then I instead made it to have, instead of like sort of little U-hooks, I made it where the sword slides through.
Yep.
So that it holds it so it could be in the middle. I didn't want to build. So it's so funny. Like you go and thinking this is how you build it, the way you build it, and then it totally didn't work.
Yep.
It was interesting. I watched a video that Norm did on the Tested channel a couple weeks ago where he made this really big display for his Hot Toys Bo-Katan and Din Djarin figures where he wanted them fighting and in this very dynamic pose. And he said that you kind of build it 3 times. He goes, you build it in your head and you think about it, and then you draw it on paper, and you've kind of built it a second time, and it makes you think about it in different ways that maybe you didn't think about it in your head. And he goes, and then you actually start building it, and you cut the pieces, and he goes, and that's when you really realize whether what you thought in your head works or not. And he said a lot of times you end up, as you did, revising it.
There's so many things. I thought, like, this is going to be great. This is perfect. And it wasn't until it was literally up on the wall that I'm like, this totally doesn't work. So it was easy enough. And, of course, I had to design all the pieces. There's only 3 pieces, but in Illustrator and cut them on the laser cutter, and it took. And then the second one I did in like 15 minutes. I had to revise them, and it was so much easier once you're doing it. So
the display looks great. I mean, up on the wall like that, it looks really good.
Yeah. So it came out good. So that's all the Joe's Choice. Okay. So next week we have nothing left to talk about.
Nope, nothing on.
We've got a few weeks before Guardians, but I know at least Dave and I have acquired our tickets for Guardians.
Todd will go see it the first
Todd
day.
can just walk right in back in that.
I will walk right in.
But we got a couple shows. Maybe you guys will watch Ghosted. We got Citadel that starts. That looks like a good action James Bondy thing going on. There's a couple things. Maybe we'll actually talk about something other than television. I don't know what that will be, but we'll certainly.
I was thinking maybe we would get in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll get Tom Spina to come on and talk about all the Indiana Jones stuff he's got.
That would be perfect. Yeah, let him know. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's happy to do it. I talked to him just yesterday.
Oh, you did? Great.
Yeah.
As you listen to this on Tuesday, it's Friday now. If you listen to it the day it comes out, Tuesday the 25th, all his stuff goes for sale. That look on our Facebook page. We posted that up. The stuff that's coming out. He's got an urn, and he's got a couple magnets, right? And he's got
some wall decor,
and a bunch of cool stuff. So he has the license, and there's no better company to have the license than those guys. Yeah. They'll do the right thing. So check that out. If it's not sold out by the time you're hearing this,
that's the only downside.
His stuff goes quick. So that's cool. All right, thank you, Brian, for joining us.
Anytime, it's great.
What else was I going to say? Something about. I don't remember.
You were going to say, but you were hesitating. Does anybody have any last thoughts?
No, I wasn't. So Trek Condoroga, I think we texted about it. Frakes is there. I think that dude who plays Picard's son is there.
Delancey's going to be there too, right?
Spiner's there. I'm wondering if they're going to unveil the next gen display thing. I would think of going if that's the case. It's not too
long. I jokingly said to you guys, hey, now that they've built it again, maybe I wonder if they'll just donate it to him so that he doesn't have to remove the bridge.
I've seen plenty of pictures of Kali on the set. So
they're well into
discussions about it. Yeah.
No, but they're well into building it themselves. They've been. I've seen progress pictures of it. So.
Ticonderoga is August 18th, 19th, and 20th.
I mean, we always want to go, but if it's the next gen, I would like to hang out with Riker. I think we saw him at Mission. He was just a regular dude. I mean, even though he's, got a lot going on. But anyway, and there's other shows, a bunch of little weird shows. There's Eternal Cons in July. I just
got an email today that they're doing it again in July.
Yeah. So. We'll see. So with that, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.